about you?
I'm doing great myself. Once again, thanks for being so flexible with the scheduling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have had to delay by a few days, which would have been annoying. But the fact that we could do it like on pretty short notice is nice, so that you get your lesson, and yeah, we don't have to delay it for another week. So that's great.
hmm
Um, yeah, how's the melee been recently?
Honestly, it's been going very well, especially after our first lesson. I feel like I actually understand like neutral way more.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's great. Is there something in particular that you feel like you've gotten better at, or something that you've been using that's working well?
I feel like I'm definitely better at like gauging where my opponent's gonna be and then attacking there, and just being way less like way more defensive on like not being opened up on as often.
Okay, so you're getting better at like attacking more based on where you think your opponent will be when you attack them, and not
Yeah.
just like throwing out attacks in their general direction.
hmm
Nice. Okay. Last time we talked a bit about like the specific type of tech skill and how we want to practice that in combination with each other. Has that been something you've been able to try out a bit, and how has that been going for you?
Yeah, uh I've been practicing the whole like wave dashing and like mixing in dash dancing. And I've been able to use it pretty effectively when I'm like actively thinking about the game, but when I go on like autopilot or whatever, it I just wave dash.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been honestly really helpful when I'm like seriously playing?
Yeah, it can be difficult to stay focused enough for extended periods of time to do these things, especially when you're new to them.
hmm
But the more often you focus on them, the less focused you will need to execute them over time, and eventually you'll be able to do them like super naturally, like through second nature, more or less. And then, yeah, you'll get all the benefits from them without having any of the downsides. And the downsides for now are just it's difficult to learn in the first place, and takes a bit of time and effort to get to a point where you could do it automatically.
Yeah.
Great. I also sent you like this little article thingy that I once wrote about
hmm
like how I view general improvement, because it was something that we didn't get to like fully talk about last time, and I wanted to make sure
hmm
that we have it in here at least. Did you get a chance to have a look at that yet?
I've looked at it a little bit. I didn't read all the way through it because I read like a good bit of it and then had to put it down and I just kind of forgot, I'll be real.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Mm.
So do you remember like how far roughly you got? Because I think we're gonna go through some of this very quickly
hmm
anyways now. But we'll
Yeah.
hopefully do it in a way where we have like a good bit of time left to also talk about other stuff during the rest of the
hmm
lesson. Do you remember like until where you got before you had to put it down?
Let me pull up the doc and then I will
Yeah, it should be
see.
pinned in our RDs.
Yeah. Uh, where was I? I think I got up to like talking about VOD reviewing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
that makes sense. Okay, cool. Then that's one of the things we could do is just go through the rest of this really quickly, because it
hmm
hopefully, having talked about this just once, sets us up for much more efficient and better communication, and also just future improvement for you, because we'll both always know which points we're currently at and how we want to move forward from those points, depending on the situations that we're trying to look at. Um, what other things have come up in your gameplay or in your time with the game recently that you would like to have us talk about today?
I feel like just like platform pressure. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I either overextend or don't do enough to where I just get platform camped or I get punished for overextending on platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I noticed a lot of people who I play regularly started realizing that like they can just use platforms and then I don't really have the tools yet to like fully deal with it.
Yeah, it's difficult for a character like Ices. We're not like
Mm-hmm.
Fox who can just hop on the platform next to someone, like near their shield, and have a frame one shine ready to keep hitting them. Even if we miss, we fall so quickly as Fox that we can afford to go up and down all the time. But as
Mm-hmm.
Ice, if you do one bad full hop, you get stuck in the air. The Marth hits you up once, and then you never land for the next 20 seconds. And
Yeah.
it can be a real struggle. So that's a very good topic to touch upon. Do you have any gameplay examples of yours where that happens, like sets that you've played recently or Slippy files that you've collected in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I have a set where my friend like actively just used platforms a lot
Mm-hmm.
and it like messed with me. So I do have that, and I have just another set. I have two sets prepared that I played rather recently.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Then when we get to that topic, I think the best thing to do is to first kind of look at the theory behind it. And then once
Mm-hmm.
we understand the situation a bit better, we can then look at your gameplay and then already try to see where the stuff we then learned could have helped you there and what you could have tried doing from the things we've discussed that could be solutions. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, if you have them at hand right now, you can feel free to send them to me right now. Like just
Okay.
drop the Slippy files in our DMs and then we can pull them out when necessary. But if you don't have them on hand right now, we can also do that later.
They're there. I just sent them. They're
Cool.
uploading, but
Nice. Okay, perfect. Um, so then my suggestion would be that we first talk through like this general improvement plan that I put down in here,
mm-hmm.
just so that in case there's any questions from you, you can, feel free to ask them right now. And of maybe some of the stuff you might have to read again, or it might take a while to sink in, but hopefully it should all be written in a way where it's understandable if you just read through it. And of course, I'm always there to answer any questions. All right. Um,
Okay.
so the beginning part is about what a practice routine can be good for. Um, a lot of people, especially newer players, they really like receiving like practice routines that tell them to do a certain thing for a certain amount of time. Like, do 5 minutes of L canceling, 5 minutes of short hopping, 10 minutes of wave dashing, these types of
Mm-hmm.
things. And while that can be helpful, especially for people who are super new and super overwhelmed, usually it isn't specific enough to what the person actually needs, right? If someone
Mm-hmm.
can't wave dash at all, then doing like 5 minutes of wave dashing a day is probably not going to be as efficient as just sitting down for an hour, uh, just doing it for an hour for like 2 or 3 days if you're able to, and then hopefully you will have developed the muscle memory where you can now do it much better already and can now move on to something else. Whereas if you were to split all these things up in like very small chunks, you might not learn any of them quickly enough individually, and it'll slow you down in the long run. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, what other types of practice routines or solo practice in general can then be helpful? Um, I like talking about all of us having a sort of default gameplay. Default gameplay is just how we play when we're sitting down to play the game and we're playing like more or less naturally, right? Just like an average to good performance from us when we sit down to play. It's not like our flow state where our focus is like super amazing and everything's like all the outside factors are not affecting us at all, right? It's just when
Mm-hmm.
we are left in our to our own devices, when we encounter a situation that happens too quickly for us to consciously think about, like a fox going to a side platform or a falco jumping into us with a down air, how do we naturally react to those situations? That's what I would say our default gameplay is. And that isn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, it's just how we tend to react in those situations. And because the game is too fast, yes, we want to learn how to better play these situations in a conscious way. But once we understand the situations better, our main goal should be to get our default gameplay, our automatic responses, to change and to differ from what they were previously so that they now account for the stuff that we've encountered that is giving us problems. If the fox goes to side platforms and we always try to full hop onto the side platform, and we always get nared out of the air, now we know that, okay, maybe I don't want to full hop at the fox. Maybe I want to stay a little bit further away and then short hop to get under them, right? That could be a pretty,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just as an example solution. And now we want to retrain ourselves so that when we are in that situation, we first of all know what to do, but we're also actually able to execute what we want to do. Um, there's a lot of really smart players and analysts in this game who can describe situations extremely accurately and can tell you what option would be good, what the risks are, what the rewards will be. But then you play against them and they just don't do any of those things because the conscious knowledge isn't enough to actually get you to do those options in a real match where there isn't enough time to think through every single thing you do. Um, so, what do you think about that? Do you feel like that could make sense? Do you feel like that sounds stupid? Is it understandable the way I've described it?
Yeah, honestly, that makes a lot of sense
Mm-hmm.
with the whole, yeah, just quick second decisions.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
hmm
Yeah, it's not like when people are playing their best when they're winning majors, they're not like actively. It's not like their brain is just gathering and then like sorting through information like in a
yeah.
conscious way where they could spell all these things out. They're just kind of sitting there and they're just kind of playing well in like a very super nebulous way where they're not, it's not like they pick up on stuff instantly and then make the mental calculations a million times faster than you ever could. It's just that
hmm
they've trained themselves to automatically respond better in a lot of spots. And yes, when you start doing that, when you start retraining yourself for a certain situation, it will take a lot of conscious effort. But the more repetitions you get in for that situation, the more often you focus on it, the more you tend to try to do it, the less conscious effort it will require until eventually, you might be able to do it with only like 5% active thinking required, and the rest of it kind of gets dealt with like automatically from your brain. Um,
Makes sense.
cool. Yeah, so that's why, in order to improve, we first want to figure out where our default gameplay, our automatic responses are failing us at the moment. And once we've seen that, either by watching our own gameplay or by playing against other people and then noticing stuff that's going wrong, or having other people who we've played against tell us what they think we could do better. Once we know that, we can figure out what we might want our solution to be in that situation. Um, Usually, not doing an option isn't really a solution because if you tell yourself, oh, I'm just not going to full hop anymore, then you will find yourself in that spot. The fox will be on the side platform, and your brain will automatically go to, oh, full hop. Like, let's just do that. Because
hmm
it seems to be what you just automatically tend to do here. It's not really a conscious choice because you don't always have the time to consciously think it through. It's just what you tend to do in that spot, and not doing anything is never an option. You always need a specific replacement. Like instead of full hopping there, I want to short hop in up air, right? Um,
hmm
Once you have that specific solution, you can then think about how you want to go about learning to implement that new solution, right? Because yes, you could just sit down against a real player and just try to do it more often, but you might not find the character that it's relevant against, or you might find a fox who just never goes to side platform. So you have this fresh thing on your mind that you want to improve at, but you don't actually get to use it. Um, and this is why in this little like 4-step plan that is written down here, I think the
hmm
third step is really important, um, because this step is called solo practice and adjusting your default gameplay. Um, this step is about getting repetitions in for that situation to increase your situational awareness in order to make it so that in the long run you'll be able to pick up on this automatically much more easily. Um, the way you can do that is that you either record a situation like that, an Uncle Punch, and just have it play out over and over again. And you focus on, doing the new thing that you previously weren't doing, and you try to trick yourself into believing it's like this realistic scenario. In a recording, you
hmm
always know exactly what you do. So it's easy to get like a little bit lazy or complacent and just do the articles out, whatever the recording is going to do. But it's similar to like shadow boxing, which you might have heard of. Um,
hmm
have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're shadow boxing, you'd kind of like that would be the example would be you position a fox here, right? And then
hmm
like right now my problem is that I do this and then I get punished for it. So instead, what I want to have as my solution is like up airing in this space in case the fox jumps down, right? Because then I would hit them. So I would
hmm
just place the fox here. I would try to move around in a way that is realistic from a neutral game, right? I would try to like play pretend neutral against this fox, And then I would focus on like weaving in and out and like doing the option that I now want to do, which is like these up airs like in this middle range. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that already works really well. That's how people used to practice neutral 7, 8 years ago before we had tools like we have now. But now, since with those tools, we can do stuff like this where we have the fox dash dance like this and then jump down, right? So we can practice moving around here and then, getting under the fox and then trying to make sure that we hit a shot of up air here and then, becoming cleaner with how we move and getting our aerial out in time. Um, yeah.
Mm,
What do you think
makes
about that,
sense.
Eric?
Yeah, and honestly, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever used this Uncle Punch recording feature before? And do you even have like a version of Uncle Punch?
I have a version of Uncle Punch, and I've used the recording feature a little bit, but like not really for this sort of thing. The most I've used it is like get having Falco like laser so I can practice projectile desync
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
stuff like
that,
that.
that's already really good. Did you set up the recording yourself, or did you import a save state for that, or did you just go into the PowerShell train?
I set it up myself because for whatever reason my Uncle Punch does not like me like bringing in uh like different recordings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. We can take a look at that if you want to, so that we can see
Mm.
why that might be the case, so that in case we have a recording here for you that we want you to have, we can make sure you can actually access it. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, how comfortable do you feel setting up like simple situations like this?
Uh, I feel pretty comfortable, like depending on character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I
of
feel
course.
like even I can probably set something up, uh, with like enough attempts, you know.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Um, the great thing is that, like we said with the shadow boxing, it's already good practice to just, um, pretend that the situation is being played out, right? Like this is
Hmm.
already good practice without actually having the fox do it. So if your recording isn't perfect, it's still good practice because you can still just pretend that the fox is actually doing it, and even if it's not perfect, if they miss their fast fall, if they miss their cancel, that's all fine because what we're practicing is like realistic neutral into doing the option we want to do once we see something happen from the opponent, like them being on the side platform.
Hmm.
Okay, nice. Great. Sounds like you're following along really well. You have a good understanding of this already. Um,
Yeah.
Once you've done that, the more repetitions you've gotten in before hopping into a match against a real player, um, you will no longer maybe need like 100% of your like active thinking to go into remembering to do this option and then also executing it. By getting a few repetitions in solo practice, you might have been able to lower it to maybe 80% already, which is still difficult to do, difficult to think about. It'll require a lot of focus, but it's much better than, still being at that 100% active effort required point. Um, so you can like get more repetitions in, get better at the situational awareness, get better at the execution, so that when you then want to also practice it in a super realistic scenario against real players, you won't be starting completely from zero. You'll be starting from, a little bit further ahead than that.
Makes sense.
Great. Okay. Of course, this is more for practicing situations that are more player versus player oriented, right?
Hmm.
There are some situations in the game where you make a mistake that like isn't doesn't really have much to do with what the opponent did, right? For ice, this
Hmm.
is like an easy example. It's just doing handoffs, right? Because if you do your stuff correctly, they should not get to live, right? You should just be able to down throw, have Nana regrab, and then do that again. But if you mess
Yeah.
that up for some reason, then you can like think about why did that happen, right? Was it
Hmm.
because I grabbed too early? Did I grab too late? Did I mess up something else? And then that's something where you just have to sit down and practice it, which basically comes down to just general text gun execution, where it's not dependent on on retraining yourself to do something else, but it's just you doing the stuff that you know you want and have to do in the way that you actually want to do it. Um,
Makes sense.
yeah, so if there's like tech skill holes in your gameplay that you're finding, or if there's just
Hmm.
stuff that you can't do yet that you want to do, it helps a lot to start off by practicing it first in isolation until you can do it like seven. at least 6 out of 10 times, preferably like 7 or 8 out of 10 times. And then once you're at that point, you want to start combining it with other text flow that you have, right? So
Mm-hmm.
same example, if you want to practice handoffs against Fox, and you want to practice stuff like, I don't know, you also want to practice like desyncs like this, like tilt, smash, turn desyncs out of a forward tilt. Like what I do is I could place down here, do this, move forward, grab the Fox, and then like, start my desyncs and my handoff, right? And then I
Mm-hmm.
can practice both at the same time, can practice leading one into the other, then I could also do like wave dash into this, into grab, and then my ledge handoffs. So there's a bunch of ways you can practice these things where you can combine everything together, and that makes the practice a lot more realistic and efficient. Because in a real match, you're not just gonna walk up to the fox, grab, and then start all this, right? Against a real
Yeah.
fox, you're gonna be like moving around, you're gonna be doing stuff, you might be doing like dash dance stuff, and then get the grab, and then you want to keep going here. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
once you are past the point of just starting with the raw execution, you want to combine the different stuff that you can execute already, which is what we'll see here in our solo practice fundamentals, is called execution maintenance, is where you take the stuff that you can already do, um, at least to a decent extent, and then you try combining it in scenarios that you think are realistic, that might come up in your gameplay or that you've seen come up in your gameplay. Um, with the first step, of course, being learning the execution when something's new. And then the last step is what we just talked about with the recordings, is situational practice, is making sure that you're not just practicing the stuff that is basically you fighting against yourself, but you're also getting better at fighting against your opponents by retraining your responses to what you see them do in the real match.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
great. Yeah, as I said, there's some more stuff in here, like the VOD review stuff, how exactly to VOD review, that you could take a look at by yourself. Just read through and then let me know if you have any questions. Um,
Okay.
but I do think that this idea on what we can use solo practice for and why it's so helpful, even once you've gotten to a high level, is important to keep in mind, because a lot of improvement in this game can happen just by you being smart about how you spend your time without even having to find good opponents, or without even having needing to have access to like good practice. You can kind of play against humans this pretty low amount and still improve by a lot if you use
Mm-hmm.
your time in a good way. All right,
Makes sense.
cool. Great. Then, if any questions come up during this lesson or during the next couple of days, as I said, always let me know. No problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could now move on to the platform stuff and help you figure out what you can do when people are just using platforms and making you chase them up there.
Yeah.
What I would like to do here is that I think it could be good if we connect to each other on Slippy. If you're in
Mm-hmm.
a setup right now where we can do that,
Yeah.
cool. Because then we can kind of show each other the stuff we're talking about on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I
Also,
gotta grab my controller then.
yeah, sure. I'll be the code. It's Nicki1.
All right, I'm back.
Cool. What character did your friend play who like platform, not camped, but like who abused platforms against you?
They were playing Fox.
Sorry, who?
Fox.
Oh, Fox. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I didn't really notice that they were using platforms much. But after the set, they're like, "Man, I abuse platforms." And I'm like, "Oh."
Did you rewatch the set yet?
I watched it a little bit, and I realized, yeah, they sure were using platforms.
Mhm.
And then my code is, let me check it.
Kiri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Upgamer League
Hmm.
setup sheet. How's the Upgamer League going for you? Have you been enjoying that so far?
I have been.
Nice.
It's been
Wait,
very fun.
wait, who did you play already?
I played BK.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, right, right.
mhm. Honestly, really proud of that set because BK is a person who I play a lot, and I've never like beaten in a competitive set, and that's my first time I have.
Oh, hell yeah. That's the update or
Mhm.
power up for IC.
Real.
Yeah, I think BK kind of destroyed the Division 2 of NA last season. So nice to see that
Really?
BK finally has some competition in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 736, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm searching.
I should be now.
Nice. Oh, it's a
Yeah,
MatPat.
it's MatPat.
Cool. Okay, so from what you remember, what did uh, what did this fox do on the platforms when coming down from the platforms? What do you remember?
I don't remember exactly. I just know they used a lot of side plat and just
Mm-hmm.
like punishing me going for like short op aerials.
Yeah.
No?
Do you remember what
Mm.
stage it was on?
The main one I remember was on the like main one that I like started recognizing it was on Pokemon Stadium.
Mm-hmm. And let's just go to that stage. Yeah. All right. So you said that you got punished for trying to go for short up airs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, roughly where were you trying to place those up airs? Because that makes a pretty important difference here.
Normally I try to place it like under the platform to like shark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point because your
Mm-hmm.
icy shot up air it pokes through the platforms really nicely, right? But
Yeah.
how do you think you got hit? Do you feel like you got hit before your up air could come out? Did you get hit after it came out? Maybe sometimes one, sometimes the other, or are you not sure?
I believe it was a lot of either just like whiff punishing, like I missed the short up air, and then
Mm-hmm.
I get like shined or something, or like they shield and then they it hits and then they like shield drop. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a
Okay.
few times where I just miss the short hop and then I
Mm-hmm.
get punished, obviously,
Yeah,
or
that's the
full
one
hopping.
that I talked about earlier. That happens just a lot because shut up bear is pretty hard. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so okay, cool. All right, so let's kind of look at the pros and cons of taking as much space as you've been doing and like contesting the fox on the platform. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of course, hitting a double up air that auto cancels does very good percent. Um, but the problem is that if you slightly whiff, if you mess up the tech skill for it, or if the fox is able to intercept you before you get the up air out, the risk reward is pretty mediocre, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you hit the fox, even if it knocks down, they're probably going to be knocked down on the platform while you're below it, and it's hard to combo super well from that. Uh, but if the fox, like while you're wave dashing forward to get close enough to get your up air out, if the fox comes down with a drill like this, and then drill shines you here, now you're like stuck in the corner against fox right here, which is the most annoying spot to be in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and one more shine could just mean that Nana is gone. So, um, first of all, I'd like to point out that Fox being here versus Fox being here doesn't change that much about his effective threat range when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to how reactable Fox's options are. From this distance, if Fox is dash dancing like this, right, like under the side platform, if he wants to go for a short up aerial from here, he can go to about here, right, like to about center stage.
Mm-hmm.
If he's dash dancing on the side platform and then he short hops down, he can go a little bit further than that, right? Like a tiny
Yeah.
bit. But the thing is that if he short hops from up here, he's so much higher up than he would be with a regular short hop that his short
Mm-hmm.
hop is now much more reactable, right? Because he
Mm-hmm.
first has to go up from the platform and then comes down. Whereas on the ground, he just short hops and then, by the time he's here, by the time you react to the jump, he's already on you and like beating you down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that's important to consider is that Fox's short hop down, if you're just perfectly stationary, is barely reactable. But once you see Fox up here, you know that the furthest he can go with his short hop is about this distance. So
Mm-hmm.
if you just stay a little bit outside of that, the only way Fox hits you is by full hopping, and now he's going this high up, right? Like
Yeah.
super high up, and that's very, very reactable for sure. Um, so it's another way you can play it, where you're pretty much baiting the fox to come down in certain ways, and then you move in and out of this range that you
Mm-hmm.
think they might want to come down. because foxes love doing short out aerials offside platforms, especially early aerials for some reason. So if you can like place a blizzard in about like this spot where I am right now, if the
Mhm.
fox jumps down, this happens, then you have to
Mhm.
wait for enough the blizzard, then you might be able to go for a grab. Or, you know, if you do the blizzard, fox doesn't bite, you can just kind of walk back a little bit, right? And then once again, you're too far away for fox to effectively reach you. Um,
Yeah.
Cool. So that's one thing that's important to keep in mind. When folks is dash dancing like this in the corner, you don't just always want to throw yourself at them and wave dash in, right? You
Mhm.
sometimes want to play for the middle range and contest them right here, and sometimes want to play in the range that you're currently at and defend yourself back there, right? In case he does something like this, you want to give up some
Mhm.
space. And similar ideas apply when fox on the side. Yes, you can shard them, but you can also get hit in similar ways as if you were just trying to hit a fox who's down here. You can get hit by aerials like this, you can get hit by like back airs like this, by up airs like this, all of which can be pretty dang annoying to get hit by. So we want to find a balance between how often we go forward and sneak under the fox, and how often we just hold our space, how often we take a little bit of space, and how often we might want to move back a little bit to make sure this doesn't hit us, and then we're able to potentially go for a punish. Um,
Mhm.
how do you feel about that?
Honestly makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How would you say you've been playing it um, now that we've described a few different ways of playing the situation?
I definitely feel like I'd really only go in for the shark. I never really thought of the whole threat range
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. I just see Fox on platform, and a lot of times they don't like moving from the platform, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go in and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a good play, right? I'm not saying that's a bad option.
Mm.
It's just that you need a mixture of that option and also something else. Because against worse players, you might be able to always sneak under them, up air them through the platform, and then that's great. But better players will see you do that once, and then they might just
Mhm.
come down and shine you right here. Or they might come down preemptively and wall you out like this as you're trying to make it into the air, right? Fox does
Mhm.
this as you're trying to wave dash in, that sucks. They might even full hop on the platform so that your archer misses and then they come down on you with an aerial and now you're cornered because it's easy to accidentally overshoot too far when Fox is up here. So that Fox is like shielding right here and you end up landing down here, right? So you've pretty
Mhm.
much cornered yourself because they're closer to center stage than you are. Um,
Mhm.
it's really important to find the balance there. If you have a read on them, right? If you see them stay on platforms, like do shields like this that are very easy to poke, or just not acting quickly enough, then going for the platform poke is really good. But it's
Mhm.
just important to still understand that it's still a neutral game. It's not like you have a guaranteed hit here. You still have to account for the ways they could move. They could move forward like this. They could move forward like this. They could run off like this and then take space. They could run off like this with an aerial. They could shield drop at any point, right? They could shield drop right here, shield drop right here, run off in this way. They could short off like this, and I don't know, do stuff like
Mhm.
that. I don't know if they would do that, but they could. So yeah, that's important to keep in mind. It's a good
All
spot
right.
if you play it well, but I'd still say it's neutral game. It's not a winning spot for you. If you
Mhm.
play it well against most foxes, you will have more experience in this situation than they will have. So it can like practically turn into a winning situation, like empirically for you. Um, at least it has for me once I've gotten better at it. But
Mhm.
from a theoretical standpoint, this is like just more neutral game, and there's so much stuff both characters can do that it's important to remember that all those options exist and that you have to threaten different ones at different times.
Makes sense.
Okay, if you just stand, I'll try to draw on the screen and put a screenshot down. How would you
Mhm.
describe what we've just talked about? How would you try to summarize that for yourself?
I would say it's a lot of like instead of just always going in for the shark, instead play around the threat range and try to either like bait out a like short up off a platform into some sort of like punish, or like just dance around the threat range. So if he does go for that, then I don't uh get hit by it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. That's a good way of describing it. And I think when we watch your gameplay, it'll be easy to see, or hopefully it'll be easy to see what you're doing and how you might do it differently. Sorry, I just had
Hmm.
to hurry up because I had 1 more second left to get the screenshot in.
Yeah.
But I think I managed to do it. All right, yeah. So I think now we can look at some of the gameplay. Um,
Mhm.
I'll try to let you do a lot of the analysis so that you can use what we just talked about and kind of figure out for yourself what you think you could do differently with the information we now have. Um, and hopefully by the end of it, see how you lost and how you can hopefully somewhat easily do this time.
Hmm.
Is there a certain game you'd like to have us start with out of the four you sent me?
Uh, I don't know which one's which, but probably it might be best to do the
Hello, hello. You still there? Nope. Okay. Am I still there? Hello? Or am I no longer there? Hello?
hello.
Are we back?
Are we back? Are we
Yes.
back?
I think
All right, all right.
we're so back.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Sorry. What were we saying?
I was saying there's one that's on Pokemon Stadium. I don't know which one it is though. That one might be best to start with.
Okay, yeah, let me try to see if I can figure out which one that is. Quick. I think it was just when I tried downloading the Slippy file. Yeah, too much for it or something like that. But
Uh-oh.
hopefully now we're good. Um, okay, now we have it in my Slippy launcher. Now we can look at the folder. Okay, there we go. We have all four
Hmm.
games and we have the
Yep.
Pokemon Stadium game. That's the one, right?
Hmm.
Cool. Okay, don't mind the fox. He's wearing funny boots. Um, all right, so I'll just let this play for a bit, and then at some point I'll pause. Whenever you want to pause, just let me know. But I would like to let it run for a bit, and then pause, and then ask you about like certain situations that occurred and how you felt about generally how you played that situation specifically. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Um, Great. You can see my screen well and everything.
Yep.
Nice. All right, let's do it. All right, you're owning them a little bit. So let's see where things start to go wrong. You said that you two play quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of those foxes that has matchup experience.
Hmm.
They're not common, but when they exist, they can be really scary.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch like one more stock and then
Oh.
talk about what we saw. Okay, yeah, one more of your stocks, I
Hmm.
meant. All right. Um, what do you think? Do you feel like the side platform situation came up a lot? And when it didn't come up, how do you feel like you played it? Were you happy with how you played it? Did you see room for improvement already?
I definitely saw it quite a bit, and I think I was playing around like the threat range more than I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I was just not. I was playing around the threat range, just not knowing what move to like throw out though, for
Yeah.
the most part. And there
Yeah.
were some times where they're on top flat, and I just kind of go in and try to shark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also important to look at what they do on the side platforms because they're never actually
Mm.
staying there for long. They're just kind of using them for like one quick reset, right? They'll like
Mm.
jump and then waveland off of them. They'll like full up with their back turn and then use it like right here, right? They do like the jump shine into waveland and then they
Mm.
double jump from up here, which is obviously pretty risky, right? Because once they've double
Yeah.
jumped, they can no longer drift as far or escape. So the way you space around it and the moves you do to space around it are honestly pretty dang good. But it's also because they're using side platforms in a kind of weird way. We're not really using them for long. They're just kind of going there for the sake of going there, and it doesn't seem to be hitting you as much. Um,
Mm.
so maybe they were focusing on like going there a lot, but going there like this and then like play neutral by just, using their double jump that isn't scary to you at all. Maybe this is why it didn't really feel like they used platforms a lot against you because the
Mm.
platforms weren't actually where the meaningful interactions were taking place. You just kind of chilled and then they went to the ground. Like here again, they just go to the platform for the sake of going to the platform,
Mm.
which can work. If you throw yourself at them at that exact point and you miss a down smash, they might be able to get a punish. But like right here, right? Like what
Mm.
Fox goes to the platform here, you're just kind of like, okay, sure. And then
Yeah.
you move back a little bit. It's like, all right, sure, you go ahead. Um, so yeah, I think your feelings of it didn't really seem like I was getting like platform camped or I was losing heart to the platforms. Just from watching the first half of this game seems correct. But
Mm.
yeah, let's just watch the rest of this game in its entirety and then see if maybe there's a change up either in the end of this game or in one of the other games.
Okay.
Especially in one of if we have like a DreamNet game, that's usually good to look at because that's the stage where the
Yeah.
side platforms are really annoying. Do you two play at locals from time to time?
No, they're like an online friend that I
Okay,
met at a melee server.
okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if because I knew that you two know each other and play quite a bit, but I wasn't sure if you're like from the same region.
Mm.
Do you feel like foxes that go to platforms a lot generally give you trouble? Has that been something you've noticed for yourself anyways, or has it just been something that they told you after this session or after this game and then you started looking into it more?
It's mainly Fox gives me some trouble when they use platforms. It's mainly like Falco who does, but both species
Mm-hmm.
do just once they realize, oh, I can go to platform. Normally, it messes me up pretty, like, like a lot.
Yeah, so we want to try to see if we can find a few situations where you specifically get messed up by them going to a
Mm.
platform, because then we actually know where that's going wrong. Going wrong. Yeah. What they got so owned. Wait, I just want to see that again. Nana with a reverse hit jab 2.
Crazy.
Completely destroyed.
Not the goat.
For sure. No contest. Spaces around the shine, turns around. Now she should have grabbed. If she had grabbed now, that would have been better neutral than I've ever played in my life.
Real.
She almost avoids it, but she lost her wallet, unfortunately.
Oh,
Let's just see this real quick. Okay, yeah, you kind of, I think you just missed a wave dash down smash and ended up jumping on the platform on accident. That happens.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think pretty much every time you've gotten open up in a meaningful way, it hasn't been through them going to a platform. It's just been them like playing good neutral on the ground at like short hop
Mm.
height or below. Um, But yeah, maybe it changes in a different game. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, again, like right here, you seem to be pretty content just taking your time when they're on platforms, which is really good because
Hmm.
they also haven't shown that they're willing to just stay up here for like 20 seconds or longer, right?
Hmm.
Um, Once people start just chilling up here for like half a minute, it starts feeling a bit weird. But if you think about it, how many games that you play against Fox end with like half a minute of time left or less, right? Even if
Yeah.
the Fox camps for a full on minute and you just ignore them for a straight, like complete minute, just no
Hmm.
interactions at all, you're probably still not going to go to time. So you can just kind of
Hmm.
let that simmer for a bit and see what goes on from there. But
Okay.
yeah, I think you played
That
pretty well here. Go ahead.
mm, I was gonna say that honestly might be part of it. Because when people start sitting on platforms for a while, that's when I start like getting antsy and it's like, okay, I guess I will shark them, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, well, this is kind of funny that they're trying to camp me. Let's see like how long I can drag this out for. Let's see if they also think it's funny and they'll keep going and it'll be hilarious, or if they're actually low key salty and if I just wait for 10 seconds, they'll stop automatically because I don't know,
Hmm.
they're mad at the game and they cannot control how they play.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bit of this is like, here you try to play around the platform threat range in a good way, but
Hmm.
then, you like accidentally full hop here. Might have tried to short hop forward or something, that's okay. Might have tried to wave
Hmm.
dash forward, which could have been a bit more risky. Um, but then once you're up there, you aren't able to come down safely. That's fine. Again, wasn't
Hmm.
really like you getting hit from platform. Here you do it really well, exactly what we showed earlier, right? Once Fox
Hmm.
is up here, their effective threat range with a short hop is about like this. So if you can move away from that and then get a blizzard up right here, you can cover that space really nicely. And if they go any higher than that, it means they're full hopping like this, and then you can react to that with your own up air pretty easily while Nana's doing the blizzard.
Makes sense.
All right, now let's look at how Nana got lost here. Okay, um, they get frozen, which is always hilarious. Miss the down smash, and then you full hop, probably on accident here. Might have tried
Yeah.
to wave dash, probably didn't mean to. So this game, there have been a few situations where you accidentally full hopped, and then
Hmm.
you kind of just got owned for it and lost like a complete stock or a complete Nana for it. Um,
Hmm.
so that's important to look at. Like, when are you full hopping there? Is it like, were you trying to short hop? Is that just something to practice by itself? Or it's something where maybe you don't want to jump in the first place and maybe you would prefer staying on the ground, maybe light shielding, maybe risking a roll. Um,
Hmm.
that's worth looking at further. Because I think if you, as I said earlier, it's so easy to do one accidental full hop as ICs and just lose Nana, lose your entire stock, uh, and your sanity as well.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Was this during a set or was this just friendlies?
It was like set during friendlies. Like we decided to do like a semi-serious set.
Okay, yeah. That's always good to do at the end of a
Hmm.
session or at some point during it. All right. So I think we could pull out one more game, see what we find in
Hmm.
there, and then once we're done with that, we can kind of get to writing down specifics and specific homework on how we can deal with whatever we find in a better way. Because
Okay.
so far, I think the platforms aren't actually the biggest issue of them all. Uh,
Hmm.
let's watch Yoshi's because you lose that game and because there's side platforms on there.
Yeah.
How do you like this stage in the matchup?
It depends on the fox. It's either I really hate it or I really like it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's the stage where I probably get the most four stocks on Spacies.
Hmm.
But if there is a stage where you get four stock, it's probably also going to be this one.
Yeah.
All right, just from having watched this first stock, feels like you got hit in the corner quite a bit, which is exactly what you want to avoid on this stage because
Mm-hmm.
pretty much anywhere that isn't center stage, right? If you have the choice between getting pressured or shined right here or right here, you probably would much rather be around this area where you can afford to get shined once and not be instantly off stage or dead. So if you
Mm-hmm.
move back to avoid their attack, sure, you might be able to avoid the attack, but if you can't directly get a punish, you're just kind of delaying the situation and then risking that it ends up worse in the future. So yeah,
Makes
let's
sense.
have a look at that. Oh, I love it when Fox Becker has that magic property that just allows it to ignore shields.
So awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, if there's like an honest shield poke, then this is probably it. Right?
Yeah.
This one is understandable, but sometimes like Fox's Nair and Becker, they just do not care.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's another one of these little full hops right here, um,
Mm-hmm.
where you miss the grab, you shield for a bit, and the shield is also worth looking at because one of the reasons why you full hop right here could be, and also you double jumped as well. It could be because your default option is to shield, but then once you've shielded, since you can no longer dash and you also can't crouch as easily, right? It becomes a lot riskier. So for example, I
Yeah.
right here, after missing this grab, I would risk just holding down. Because if they back at me, I can CC grab them, and now I've
Mm-hmm.
grabbed out right here on Yoshi's, and Nana is hopefully gonna be there soon and help me take that stock. So
Makes sense.
I think some of these full hops that you do, and also full hop like and double jumps right here, because here you
Mm-hmm.
double jumped, they stem from how you act out of pressure and out of lag, but it also stems from the fact that you tend to shield first. And out of shield,
Mm-hmm.
you can't dash anymore. You cannot crouch easily anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's important to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that I shield a lot more when I should be like crouch canceling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of points where it's like I watch back my games and I'm like, if I just crouch canceled, like I could have got something.
Yeah.
Instead I get punished, you know?
Especially when it comes to ICs, we're often
Mm-hmm.
tempted to shield an attack. We know it's going to hit us, but it's not like we can punish stuff out of shield easily. We don't have a Marth shield grab that covers half of FD. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
like Spacey shine out of shield that comes out frame 4 and just gets people off of us. Um, we've got a shield grab, and that's about it. And it's not even a good one. So
Yeah.
sometimes by just holding down, sure, we might get hit, but like if Fox is behind us, they could nair us or they could drill us. If we shield the nair or the drill, doesn't really do much for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't punish it with our back turned out of shield. But if we hold down, then sure, if they drill us, that's annoying. But if they nair us, now we grab them, now they're dead. And that's
Yeah.
really worth playing that mix up. Also, I wonder how did Fox get there out of
That
that
was
grab?
my question. I got really confused.
Wait, I have a theory. Let's see. I, but this did 6%. It shouldn't break the grab. I think that
Yeah,
maybe it has to do with rounding, but
maybe.
because there's like it's not like exactly 6 or 7% that breaks the grab. It's like some value in between. I know there's like some
Mm-hmm.
stale forward smashes that don't break the grab, and then there's other more stale forward smashes that do break the grab, or less stale ones that do break the grab, but like
Mm-hmm.
on paper do the same percent. Or no, I'll I'll send that to my goons and let them analyze that for me. And I'll pull out my spreadsheets and then I can hopefully give you a better answer.
All right.
Okay, how did we end up in the corner right here? Yeah, this is a pretty big one.
Mm-hmm.
Against Fox, a lot of the time I'm just thinking, how do I lose this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The quickest way to lose the game is to somehow end up right here.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere in this area of the stage, with Fox being on top of me or being like right there as well, because then now it's really just one shine, and then usually it's hard to fast fall to ledge, especially on Yoshi's, you're just gone. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can contest the platforms like this here. If you up smash through the platform, they're just going to land right here and you have a difficult tech chase. So you're not going to kill them like this,
Mm-hmm.
but they might be able to take your stock like this. So by playing it more from center stage, by like playing around their threat range, maybe moving back a little bit, maybe moving forward a little bit more, but staying around here so that it's at least still closer to center stage than they are. So if they shine you, you'll get sent this way and not the other
Mhm.
way. Those are, I think, more consistent ways of playing the situation. And then after you do the smash, let's look at what you do. You up smash, and you shield,
I shield.
and we full up. Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, of course, the commitment into the corner, but then also, if you just hold down right here, sure, maybe they back at you, happens. If you're able to
Mm-hmm.
make it into crouch, you can CC it. But if you jump into this, that's probably death. So
Yeah.
uh, that is very important, and it's difficult to retrain yourself to not shield in those situations because shield feels like the safe option, right? That's how we
Mm-hmm.
avoid attacks. That's how we do not get hit. But unfortunately, a lot of the time it just makes stuff worse because shield doesn't actually get us out of the situation. It just delays when we get hit a lot of the time. And we'd
Yeah.
rather risk getting hit instantly and have a better chance at a counter hit by holding down or by dashing away. If we dash away from the back air, if we just miss our smash attack and then dash away,
Mm-hmm.
we can dash back in and punish them with a grab. But if we hold shield, we're just keeping ourselves in a worse spot and never actually getting out.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. There's the good blizzard again. This is why I said earlier that you want to wait for the blizzard to end before going in like this, because it's ambiguous if they're going to smash the eye up and be able to shine you. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
tell if they'll like this get to the ground. It's hard to tell if they'll like go up and double jump out. So I just like to let the blizzard breathe, and then when the last hitboxes hit them, that's when I'll try to go for something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to combo off of the last hitbox, and to have more time to confirm where they are. You just want to make sure you're not getting caught like that. But that's okay. It's
Yeah.
still a good blizzard to go for, and you are ready to capitalize, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, I was just gonna ask, how do we lose this game? Again, like, against Fox,
Mm-hmm.
especially on Yoshi's, I'm always thinking, how do I lose this game? Usually it's by ending up right here. So
Yeah.
if we can, we want to try to not end up right there unless necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they were even better, they just run at you, shine you right now, and now Nana's gone, the wife's gone, the kids are gone, everything's gone. The house, the dog. No,
Yeah.
Nana. And then Nana leaves you for a cloud that doesn't even want her.
Yeah.
It's tough. But yeah, on this game, it's a little bit more obvious with how you play around the side platform, where Fox stands up there for half a second and instantly you're like throwing yourself at them all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say, first of all, play around this range more often,
Mm-hmm.
because once you are in that range, now your overshoots and your sharking also becomes better. Because from the further away you start your sharking, the more reactable it is for Fox, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're standing like right here, and then you go all this way and try to hit them, they have more time to react to that. But if you start from about here, right, not as big of a
Mm-hmm.
circle, but like from about here, and then you move forward, now you can just dash forward, shot up air, and they cannot react to it anymore because you're so much closer. So
Mm-hmm.
try to just get in and out of this range and play the situation from here and give them more time to actually do something from there, because they're not actually staying up here for 8 minutes straight. They're just standing up here for like half a second at most because they missed a dash, and then they're coming down anyways.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
All right. That's
Yeah.
tough.
We
Yeah,
love
I saw
Shine
you. I saw
Spike.
you get shined like this, and I instantly knew, like, all right, next game,
Yeah.
tapping out. Like this happens, like okay, shine out of the air. Goodbye.
It's like, yup.
And even if you react to them jumping out like this, it's not like you can air dodge or anything because you're too low to
Mhm.
do that. And it's a tough spot. Only thing you can do
We
is like
love Shine Spike.
you can double jump backwards and then try to side B, but then they just go back on stage and then shine you when you're coming down again. It's
Hmm.
toughy. Okay. Cool. Also, when you got an air here, let's just look at that one more time. Because when you miss this attack, right, or after you miss this back air, if you just hold down, it could be a
Hmm.
pretty juicy grab. Also, Fox aerials ignore shield, that's okay. But if you were holding down instead of shielding, that's like grab and a down throw, maybe a down smash, and that could be
Yeah.
the game. So very, very good default option to hold down after missing something or to
Mhm.
dash away after missing something. Because those two give you much higher reward counterattacks than a lot of the time.
Okay.
Okay. So when Fox is on the sci-fi form, you want to visualize how they try to come down. The scariest option from them is usually a short hop into center stage with an aerial like drill, but that can be spaced around using your basic movement and maybe a blizzard if you feel like it. Okay, focus on taking space slowly by going into center stage first before overshooting, sharking right under where they are. And then, of course, we have the CC thing, right?
Mhm.
I'll write that down as specific homework. What we've talked about so far is, of course, also homework, right? Is
Mhm.
try to play the situation the ways we described and become more conscious of it. Specific homework that you can just try to do in any matchup is when you miss an attack, start holding down instead of shielding, dashing instead of shielding. Can feel weird to practice, but you can just do like down smash into, not hit someone and then just try to dash away, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to practice that are realistic still, but it's more about retraining yourself that you don't rely on shielding as your main defense option anymore.
Mhm.
Okay. How are you feeling? Do you have any more questions? Has anything else come up you'd like to talk about?
No, honestly, it all makes a lot of sense and seems very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought about how I'd shield a lot whenever I whiff something, and
Yeah.
realizing that like that's not the best option, you
Yeah,
know?
and the shield is leading to those jumps, right? Like you wouldn't be
Yeah.
jumping there if you hadn't first shielded and now weren't able to crouch or dash or, do any of that stuff
Mm.
anymore. If you wave dash in some of those spots, it would still be okay, but the shield into the jump seems to be like the where your panic options are taking you in that direction.
Mhm.
So yeah, getting better at not doing those things would be great.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Then let me know how these things go. I think this lesson was really productive, and I think the
Mhm.
topics we touched upon are very good because we can also apply them to other matchups in the future, and then hopefully we'll be more efficient at talking about those other matchups in this way. Um, yeah,
Mhm.
I hope you have a good rest of your day, and let me know how your next couple of sets in the Upgamer League go, and I'll talk to you next time.
Yep.
Cool, bye.
Goodbye.